afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jacqueline Donado, Queens Chamber of Commerce Strategic Program Manager. As we are leaving 2020 and stepping into 2021, small business owners need more information and resources to navigate the complex of applying for loans, grants, and financial assistance. Queens Chamber of Commerce is committed to support our businesses community, and we invited Robert Intelisano, founder of President of Intelisano Associates, an industry expert, to walk us through the process of the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP. I would like to introduce Brendan Leavy, our development manager, to some opening remarks and also to introduce Mr. Intelisano. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Robert, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and always doing a great job setting up these informational webinars. Welcome everyone to today's event. Robert Intelisano is a friend of the Chamber, a member of the Chamber. Thank you for your support, Robert, bringing great information to our members who are concerned about PPP loans becoming taxable events and all the uncertainty surrounding these loans. And so there's so many questions, and we appreciate you spending, I think, countless hours researching this and understanding it. It's no small feat. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being a Chamber member and for sharing your subject matter expertise with our members. We really appreciate it. So without further ado, Robert Intelisano, AKA the Insurance Doctor. Take it away, Robert.
Thanks, Brendan. And by the way, Brendan and I did not contact each other and coordinate the black turtlenecks before this event. Brendan was subbing in for Tom Gretsch. And I know Tom's a big sports guy, so I wore my Christmas St. John's red jacket as an ode to Tom Gretsch and my mother who went to St. John's. All right, that being said, yes, I was up till at 4 o'clock this morning working on this. Anyhow, let me get right into it. So today I decided to go, instead of like the B2B thing, I'm going K to K, kitchen to kitchen, since people are all, for the most part, people are inside. I felt like we're going to go with the kitchen to kitchen. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you to the Chamber for affording me the opportunity to talk about the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. Let me just frame the meeting quickly, give you a 2-minute background on kind of how this started. I'm going to go through some talking points. We originally had a set format, but Tom had to take a national call. So for the sports people, a baseball fan, he threw me a knuckle curveball, but I think I'm ready. And we'll do a little bit more Q&A as opposed to me talking. We'll do a little bit more of the people that are on and, getting into their questions. My quick disclaimer is that I am not a CPA, so there may be some questions which would be a CPA, and I'm not going to cover the FTEs, but pretty much everything else we'll give a shot at. Okay, so right now, I mean, as we're talking right now, there's heavy negotiations going on. There's been some news that actually came out today, and basically what both sides of the fence said is that they're going to negotiate this. Friday's the deadline, and they're not going to leave until there's a deal in place. I've got an avalanche of notes here, but some things that they're talking about. The stimulus checks were off the table, but it looks like now they're back on the table. At about 12:15 this morning, Senator John Toon said that they're in discussions of a stimulus check between $600 and $700. And that would be double for family and kids. So we'll see what happens with that. One of the sticking issues with the Senate was liability protection for business owners. It looks like that's going to be off the table. However, we should have more information on that in about 48 hours. So I'm going to go over a couple of talking points. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And then at the end, for those people that have the patience to stick around to the end, first of all, remind me to bring up Tom Brady and his involvement with the PPP. And also I'm going to give you some tips for online holiday shopping, how to save money, because it's all about, as business owners, it's about revenues, money coming in from the PPP and controlling expenses going out. So there's some really good tips on how to save some money at the end of this holiday time and through 2021. Okay, so there's probably a variety of people on this call, people that may already have a triple P loan and trying to figure out forgiveness. What do I do? When do I do it? People that heard about the triple P money and perhaps, didn't have the wherewithal or didn't feel they needed the money or didn't apply, who may want to get part of the second tranche. But there's between 288 and $300 billion on the table for the next round of the triple P. So there's going to be plenty of money for everyone. And I would certainly recommend giving a shot to get the triple P money. I'll first talk about forgiveness. So the number one takeaway, and my goal today would be for everyone on this call to get important information that they can use and learn that they didn't know before and that they can actually implement, because information is power, but applied information is more power. So my number one takeaway would be for people that have existing triple P loans and they're asking for forgiveness, so to speak. You have 10 months from the end of the covered period. Now, the covered period is either 8 or 24 weeks. So it's the end, not when you receive the money. It's when the end of the 8-week period or the 24-week period commences or finishes at that point. So people ask, well, how do I know if I can use the 8 or the 24-week period? So the key date is June 5th. So if you received your triple P money before June 5th, you will need to use the 8-week covered period. Now, you would still have 10 months from the end of that 8-week period to apply for your triple P forgiveness. I would certainly suggest sitting tight, regardless of whether you receive your money before June 5th or after, because they're talking about right now with the next tranche of money coming in, people that already received the loan, if you had a 30% cut or 30% reduction in revenues, where you would easily be able to get another tranche of money. All right. So there's a possibility you might not even have to fill the application out. That we don't know. They're negotiating it now. So I get a lot of phone calls. I did a lot of sessions with clients. I get calls from CPAs. Some of those CPAs are just double checking certain things. I love these calls. Others don't want to do the work, to do the research. It's important that you huddle with your advisors right now, people that you trust, people that are knowledgeable, because this information is very important and there'll be a lot of different options on the table. They're giving us a lot of breaks on forgiveness and getting more money. So by utilizing different rules and formulas, you'll be able to utilize or manipulate the formula to your advantage, which is going to help you get more money. All right. So if you received your money after June 5th, you now have an option to use either the 8-week covered period or the 24-week covered period. Now, I personally received my money on July 5th. To me, it makes no sense to use the 8-week period when you can use a 24-week period. It gives you more time also to have incurred those expenses and to get 100% forgiveness, which is the goal. When this first came out, it was very confusing as to what expenses were going to be allowable and what weren't. They were talking about auto expenses. I was getting all fired up. I went and got myself a nice detailing and, drove into Manhattan figuring Uncle Sam's going to be paying for the tolls and my detailing, and then it changed. So understand that payroll, the number one expense is going to be payroll. And if you want to get 100% forgiveness, which I would assume would be most people's goals, I decided to take the money I had spent on the detail and other auto expenses, and I put the money back in the account, and I decided to use 100% payroll. I'm an S corporation. All right. So the mandate to get 100% forgiveness is to use 60% of your expenses for payroll. You are allowed 40% for non-payroll. Okay. So if let's just say, for example, you decide to go 50-50, you're forfeiting 10% of the payroll allowance, which means that you're going to lose 10% of forgiveness. It's prorated. So it's very important to look at the rules, read the rules, consult with your advisors, and apply properly. But understand that you're not under the gun, so to speak. You have 10 months to do so, and that's for the end of either the 8-week period or the 24-week period, which if you receive your money after June 5th, you will get to decide which one of those covered periods that you're going to use. All right, so that's very important. Some other talking points. I get a lot of questions from businesses that pay independent contractors. You cannot use that money. Independent contractors, they're allowed to apply for their own loans. Okay, so you cannot use money that you paid for an independent contractor. You would let them know that they should be applying for their own PPP loan. There's a lot of other questions as far as, can I apply? How many employees do you have to have? The rule is that if you have under 500 employees, okay, you can apply for a loan. Now, the max loan is 10 million. There are situations where you have different organizations that have multiple either franchises or offices or companies. Those companies, if the aggregate is over 500, they can apply separately as long as they're under 500 employees. Let me just touch on a few other things. As far as auditing, all right, they're talking right now, they're debating it right now, but before today's discussions, anyone who received a loan of less than $50,000, very good chance that you're going to get a free pass and not get audited. There are 3 different forms, actually 4 forms for forgiveness forms that you have that would be an option to fill out. So if you're under 50,000, okay, you will be doing what's called the 3508, and I don't want to get overly technical. There's a short form and an easy form and a straight 3508. The 3508, anyone can use. It's a 7-page form. There's a lot of information. For me, less is more. So you want to be able to fill out a shorter form, which means less mistakes and it's less intrusive on your business. So again, there are differences as to which form, what your situation is, as to which form you fill out. Automatic audits for anyone who received a loan for over 2 million. There's actually been some changes last week and this week on that. So for people, for companies that received over 2 million in loan, you're going to get audited automatically. There's a new form, a gazillion of these forms, but there's a new form. It's called the Loan Necessity Questionnaire. So that's a form that you would need to fill out. Your lender would have 10 days to fill that form out for you. And then you would have to return that. And then once the lender receives that form back, they would have 5 days to send it to the SBA, Small Business Association. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Very important to huddle with advisors, get the proper advice. I've always said, these days, ignorance has gotten very expensive. So you really want to know the rules. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go over covered period, alternate period. I'll get a lot of questions on this. When you're doing the forgiveness, there is some leeway to manipulate your covered period. So let's say you received the money on July 1st, for example, and no, let's say you received the money on June 23rd, all right, but your payroll starts on July 1st. You would be able to move your starting point, which is called an alternative covered period, to July 1st to coincide with your payroll. So if you receive the money on June 23rd, you would be losing 7 days. So you're able to manipulate a little bit to your advantage and start your period on that day, the date of payroll, which was July 1st. Also, I want to note, if you're in a situation where you have to be paying your employees at least twice a month, otherwise you're not going to be eligible. So, these are some stipulations that are going to be important to understand. And I'll take some individual questions in a little while, and we can dig in on some of this, because I would think that there's some people that are on that are going to want to know about that. All right. They're giving us some breaks that we didn't have before. There are breaks as far as people that get fired. If you fired someone during this covered period time, if you can show that you reasonably tried to rehire them, they're going to give you a break on the reduction of employees. There's 2 reductions. There's reductions of salary, and it's a 25% benchmark. So if you reduce salaries less than 25%, you should be fine. If you reduce your number of employees by less than 25%, you should be fine. So understand, it is called the Payroll Protection Program. So the objective is to keep people on payroll. And, part of the PPP, and the CARES Act, there's a lot of changes and they're going to make some moves on unemployment as well. But the primary part of the Triple P is to keep people on payroll and to limit unemployment, which is, in my opinion, is going to be really difficult the next, I would say 1 to 3 months. A lot of big companies, I have a list of big companies, Coca-Cola, Cisco, UPS, US Bank, some of the oil companies. These are companies that are going to be letting a lot of employees go over the next 3 to 4 months. All right. So understand that the design of this program is designed not for you to make money necessarily, but for you to keep your employees and keep people employed. Let's see. Caps. So if you're going to use the 8-week period, so what happens is there's a cap of $100,000 per employee. All right. So they're not going to give you any money back on on a dollar above the 100,000. And so what happens is there's a formula. And if you're going to use the 8-week period, you take 100,000, you divide it by 52, and then you times it by 8 weeks. And your cap would be 15,385 for the 8-week covered period for someone that was making 100,000 or higher. You would do the same math for the 24-week period. You would do 100,000 divided by 52, and then you would times that by the 24 weeks, and you would get 20,833. I'm an S as in Sam. I'm an S corporation, and I am a sole operator. I have a unique business model where I have a team of advisors that I quarterback. They work with me, not for me. So they're all independent. They have their own payroll. They are not on my payroll. So as an S corporation, I was fortunate to have over $100,000 in income. I am able to take the 100,000 divided by 52, and I'm using the 24-week covered period. So I received $20,833, and I'm using 100% payroll on my forgiveness form, which I'm not going to fill out just yet. I'm going to wait and see what happens, and maybe they'll give me another tranche of money without having to do an application. That's what I'm hoping for. I've got plenty of time. I received my money July 5th. So I've got 24 weeks from July 5th, which is about now. And then I have another 10 months from there. So, I'm looking at, if I waited to the last minute, September, October of next year, I'm not going to wait that long, but I can. So understand, don't feel tremendous pressure right now to have to fill out that application, because actually waiting is actually a good thing. I know people want closure, but we're going to have some flexibility. It's only going to get better. Okay, so if you're going to have a situation where you have multiple employees and you're going to use a 24-week period, you can use $46,154 is that number. All right. Now they're giving us a couple of breaks. So if someone left or someone was fired, that's not going to count against you. There's also going to be an exclusion where if you can prove that you are unable to currently operate at the same level that you were operating before, they're not going to count that against your forgiveness. So you want to keep very, very good records for people that haven't gotten their loan yet and they're thinking about getting a loan now. A couple of quick suggestions. I would suggest setting up a separate bank account just for this. This way it's going to be very easy. Ask for a bank card, a debit card, and just use the card. All your records will be in the same place. It'll be a lot easier. You don't have to start going to different accounts, different places, doing what we call the paper shuffle. And it's just a much easier and cleaner way to do it. If you have a situation where someone resigned in the middle of the covered period, they're going to give you a little bit of a break on that as well, where they may only count for half of that time period, not the whole time period. Let's see what else I can go over here. There are several safe harbors. Again, unable to operate, restoring your employees. All right. I think what I'm going to do is open it up from Q&A. I'd rather do an extended Q&A, and then at the end, I'm going to make a couple of quick points, and I'm going to give you some, for the people that stick around to the end, I'm going to give you some tips on how to save a ton of money on holiday shopping, which is, which is reducing your expenses. The Triple P is helping you boost your revenue. But I will tell you this, what they're talking about and what's going on back and forth right now. This is a reasonable bill. I've seen a lot of bills over the years. This is reasonable. It's going to get easier to get the money. It's going to get easier to get forgiveness. I look at this very positively, and I think people, if you're doubting whether or not you should try to get the money, I would say go for it. You can always pay it back. Let me just, a couple other things. If you receive the money before June 5th, the duration of your loan is going to be 2 years. All right. So it's a 2-year duration. Now you can apply for extensions. They built in a lot of flexibility on how long you want that loan to go for. If you received your loan after June 5th, then you could go to 5 years. So you have flexibility. And again, you're not going to have to pay. It's 1% interest. That you will not have to start paying that until 10 months after your covered period. So you have time to make an educated, smart decision with research, huddling together with your advisors. They want to give you this money. There's a lot of money that's not allocated. I know the invitation to this event that said there was over $100 million. I've been reading between 122 and actually, $250 billion. So there's going to be plenty of money. President-elect Biden is for this program. I've got a 6-page notes on what's actually on the table here, which some of it would be beyond the scope of this. But again, it's almost all good. So I view this as very positive. These are tough times. A lot of businesses going under. I mean, restaurants breaks my heart. I mean, I'm a foodie. I do a pizza blog. It's just to see these places and not be able to sit down and eat. It's very tough. So, I hope there's some restaurant owners on here that, are trying to stick it out, or perhaps they're going to close temporarily and reopen. But, apply for the PPP. When in doubt, seek it out. So what I'd like to do at this time is open it up for some questions, some Q&A. Then I'll do a little recap at the end. Remind me to bring up Tom Brady. I am a frustrated Jets fan. Here's my Jet mask.
Oof,
and
that's
we'll talk about
painful, Robert. Thank you for
we'll
sharing.
talk about how Tom Brady has manipulated the PPP. All right. So you want to start picking up the question? I can't see the other people. So
we can have a series of we have on the chat. If you look on the
is there a way of so there's no way of putting me seeing the boxes and yes, seeing the people that are answering the questions, that are asking the questions?
You can see it on the bottom. I mean, can you help us?
There's no real way of having you see the people, but at the bottom of your screen, you should see, like it says Q&A, so you can see the questions they're asking.
All right.
We have close to 10 questions already on the chat.
All right, let's see.
We can read it. We can go live for you also if you cannot find it, but.
Let me take a look at the chat. I see some more information here.
You want me to read them off to you, Robert?
Yeah, you want to read a couple off? Now, understand, if it's going to be overly technical, I may defer it. I mean,
sure.
I am available, and I have a team. We've learned a lot from the last time. I have a team available to not only handle questions, but to match people up with banks. I can tell you last time that some of the larger banks, and I applied to multiple banks myself just to see how they were going to handle it. I do business myself with about 6 or 7 banks, and I will tell you, the larger banks didn't do a good job. And I'm going to tell you why. If you're a big bank, why should you, get overly involved and get loans at 1% when and you also have to deal with the government when you can do regular loans at 4, 6, 8, 10%. I mean, it's not a great deal for traditional banks, large banks. So we have a team in place for those people that would be interested in getting a little bit of direction. If you're not comfortable with who your banker is or how your bank is handling it, feel free to reach out. There'll be no charge for Queen's Chamber members. It's a give back. The Chamber is just an amazing organization. You see the team here and Tom Gretsch. So again, we're here to help. Let's hear it. Let's hear some of the questions.
Robert, why don't you put your contact information? Of course, we'll share it, but put your contact information.
Yeah.
In
Also,
the chat.
I'll put my contact in the chat. Also, my website has got a ton of articles.
Correct.
All right.
Feel free to share that.
My email is at rob@insurancedoctor.us, U as in United, S as in States. I'll even give you my cell phone. Don't give it out.
We keep it as a secret. And we have close to 14 questions already on the chat.
All right.
Yes, we can start.
So I'm going to start reading a few off just for expediency. Dolly Rios asks, once forgiveness is achieved, do we just record the loan as income in the month it's forgiven, or do we prorate over the fiscal period?
All right, let's talk about that. So I'm going to say it depends. So what's happening right now, originally, they're as far, and again, this is an accounting question, but what's happening right now is they're talking about, first of all, you have an income issue, but then you also have an expense issue. So originally they said that there'll be no what's called double dipping. So they're saying if there's expenses where you're using for forgiveness, you can't use those expenses on your traditional taxes. So right now, I'm going to have to give it a depends answer, because they're talking about allowing you to double dip and use the same expenses twice. So I will say, in the meantime, you should be creating a detailed list of your expenses, because if you have you receive, let's say, the 20,000 and you had let's say 35,000 of expenses, you want to itemize your expenses yourself. And if they don't allow you to double dip, you want to use your payroll and then other expenses, your 60-40 split, and save some of those other expenses for your taxes. So there's a situation where you're going to have to model. You're going to have to set up different models and see which one is going to be to your advantage. They're going to allow you to set up different models. So my answer is it depends. You're going to have to set up different models to determine which is to your advantage on how to do it. But there's a chance that we can double dip.
Excellent. Some people are asking, after the call, do you have any type of, I guess, like a PDF or FAQs that you've prepared that you could share? You let us know. I'm sure we'd be happy to share if you have.
I have several things. I could do some FAQs, and we can do that if you want. I can send to you, and you want to forward it. I mean, you tell me how you want to do it. We can get to you. I can get you some Q&A FAQs. Yes.
Excellent. Somebody, you mentioned you're a S corp. Somebody asked, are you the sole employee of your S corp?
Yes,
well?
I am. So as a sole employee, S corp, I was fortunate to be over $100,000, so I was able to get the full $20,833, and I decided to use 100%. I mean, you can use non-payroll, but the cleanest way to do it is 100%. So I'm going to use 100% of payroll, apply for a 100% forgiveness, the full $20,833. I did pay tax, use some of that money to pay taxes as well.
Very good. Another question.
Very clean and easy. And also sole props. So for that person who asked the question, the sole props that has, if you have with the one employee, there's a form called the 3508EZ. E as in Edward, Z as in zebra. Real easy form. And you would qualify to be able to use that form. It'll be a lot easier than the 7-pager.
John Liang asks, what's the update on automatic forgiveness on below 150,000? Okay,
I would not use the word automatic, okay, because you still need to, he's up on his information. You still need to do an application for forgiveness. So what's being bounced around right now is moving the under 50,000 using the EZ form to 150. So, if I'm on this call right now, so I can't get the update, but as of 12:15 today, they were talking about moving it to 150, which would be a good thing. There are charts as to, the amount of loans in each category, and it would really say, the SBA is understaffed. I don't see how they have the man or person power to audit all these loans. They're auditing, it's a guaranteed audit for over 2 million. So the first benchmark was 50. They're bouncing around 150. I foresee that happening. I foresee them moving it up, if not to 150, to 100,000, making it a lot easier for the people that got the relatively smaller loans to use the 3508 EZ form and get a quick answer. So,
I got an interesting question here from Lenore Rain. It says, if the PP loan opens up again, can a business owner that was on unemployment apply?
The unemployment, it looks like no, because you have to show, you would go under the unemployment. And what I can tell you about unemployment is that they're looking right now, it's on the table to extend the unemployment for 16 weeks. Federal supplemental unemployment insurance benefits expanded by $300 a week for 16 weeks from the end of December into April 2021. So for the people that are on unemployment, there's a good chance that you're going to get an extension for the first quarter of next year.
Jackie, you want to field a few questions?
Yes, actually, I would like to invite Leonor Reina to just ask the question. Leonor Reina is the executive director of the RIMA for Us. Is one of our community partners, a proud Queens Chamber member. and they represent close to 130 merchants. I really don't know if she's
130, I didn't hear that.
Merchants.
Merchants?
Oh,
on
merchants.
Park Rockaway, Mott Avenue, and 20.
I'm from Rockaway. It's all about the
Oh.
Rockaways.
Yes, but I don't know if I tried to open the mic for her.
All right, you want to go to another question we can come back to her? No worries.
Sure. Frank Neary is asking if PPP money on 5/1 can be used the 24 months.
No, the cutoff is June 5th. Okay, so June, and I mentioned that earlier, June 5th is the cutoff. So if you received your money before June 5th, you have to use the 8-week covered period. If you received the money after June 5th, I got mine on July 5th, actually, you have the choice of the 8-week or the 24-week covered period. So if you got yours in May, you got to go 8 weeks, which brings you through May and June. July 1st, you still have 10 months. So you would have till the end of May to file for forgiveness. So you still have some time to figure it out yourself, but you will not be able to utilize the 24-week covered period.
Hey, Rob, someone just asked, what happens if you change your business structure from an S corp to a different, I guess they might be thinking about a C corp or an LLC. Do they have to ask permission to do that before they change the structure of the corporation?
Okay, that's a tax question, but I will address it. So, there's a few different ways to do it. They're allowing us, and I say us because I'm a business owner, just like the chambers of business, and you're all business owners, member of the chambers, the majority of people on this call. So there is leeway to ask for extensions, for exceptions. If you're changing your type of business, it may make sense to apply separately. It could be a little easier now to get the money than it was before. So, I would say the answer is depends, but, feel positive that you're going to get money. If you're in the middle of changing your entity, I would apply with the new entity.
That's always good to consult your tax advisor as well.
Absolutely.
Just to play
That's
it
why I
safe.
put the
And
disclaimer in there.
If you need one, the chamber has plenty of, CPAs and advisors that we can.
There's some really good ones.
Yep.
As members of the chamber.
Okay, Leonore is ready to go live.
Hi, Leonore. I don't see her.
Leonore? Okay, we can keep for another question.
All right, go
We
ahead.
can go.
I have a question. Will they provide PPP loans to companies incorporated after March 2020?
Well, there's going to be new rules that are coming out with new cutoffs on the next tranche of money. So I would give an educated guess that yes. Right now we're working off the old rules, and February 15th is the cutoff date. So you needed to have an ongoing business concern by February 15th of this year. But with the new tranche coming, I would assume that there's going to be a new date. They're going to move that date. So I would say the odds are good that that person who asked the question, if they incorporated in March, they would have a shot at the next batch of money.
Interesting. And somebody had asked, how do you apply for loan forgiveness? Are there forms available online? Is that at, a government website, or where are people have they been sent out?
Yes. So it's
applying?
There are various options on how to apply. There's the SBA, sba.gov, G-O-V. You can go to banks. There are payroll companies that have their own. And again, Brendan, the banks and the lenders, they've really learned a lot, as have we, on how to do it from the last batch. So, they've changed their systems, and there are, a variety of different banks, credit unions, they have their own system. And so, you would have a variety of options as to how you want to apply. You can go right to the SBA if you have a relationship with someone that's in the banking or a credit union, any other type of lending organization, they would be able to, you can go onto their site as well.
And they can reach out to you as well, and your
Absolutely.
contact information is in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, we put a team together, so for anyone who wants to contact me directly, we'd be happy to help.
Great.
With no charge as well.
The price is right.
The price is right. And, which door do you have? All the doors are good.
Very good.
I think we have Leonor now live. Leonor, welcome.
All right, third shot. Let's do it.
We unmute her.
Leonor, can you hear us? Maybe some technical difficulty.
Yes.
She could type it. She could type it in, perhaps, if there's an issue.
Yeah, she said that
if there's a
she can
technical issue.
She can hear us, but we cannot hear you, Leonor. You have to unmute yourself.
I see her in the chat.
Yeah,
Maybe
she's
type it in
chat.
chat and I'll address it.
Yes. What happened is, Rima, for us, that are going through it very difficult times, and she has so many experience and she has so many questions to answer to merchants.
I'd be happy to take that offline if she wants to have a direct conversation. That might be a better idea anyway.
That I think it will be great. Yes, definitely.
I'd be happy to address the questions she has.
Okay, let's keep going. Brendan, would you like to go with the next question?
Sure. Let's see what we got. Got my PPP in April. This is from Rhonda Samuel. Got my PPP in April.
Oh, hi, Rhonda.
I have until February to file for forgiveness, 10 months, but have not received an application for forgiveness. I have 2 months left. Yeah, people are just asking for the basics.
Yeah, those are available online, those forgiveness, and there's a.
We just answered that.
Yeah, and I know I've spoken with her before. Rhonda, you can feel free to reach out to me personally, but that's not an issue. We can take care of that very easily.
Okay. Michael Morinek is asking, he says, I found this online. One of the biggest changes was to the 8-week forgiveness period. If you were assigned PPP loan number on or before June 5th, you now have the option of taking 24 weeks to spend the funds instead of 8 weeks. I think you had mentioned that.
Yes, Michael.
Yeah, you've covered that earlier.
Yes, Michael, as long as you receive that money after June 5th, you have the option of the 8-week covered period or the 24-week covered period. In the majority of situations, it would benefit you to go 24 weeks.
I think a lot of the questions are very similar. People just, are a little nervous and sometimes they don't know where to go. Nice thing is, besides going to your lender, you can go to experts like yourself, and you reach out to the chamber, after this event. If anyone has any additional questions, we're always happy to connect you with Robert and other, specialists in this area.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned a lot. We've really learned a ton from the second round, and very easy to put a system together. And for people that need a little direction, we're here. What other questions do you have? And then I could do a little recap.
I think you could do, Jackie, recaps are good at this point, right? I think because a lot of the questions were sort of similar.
We went over. I see 14 more questions. I don't know if you have a chance to go over.
You see more?
Yeah, are they willing to provide PPP loans to companies incorporated after March 2020?
Yeah, that was similar to the other question. So they are going to move the date. The original date for the last batch of money was February 15th, but now that they're going to come up with the next one as early as they really have to have this hammered out by Friday, there will be a new date. My educated guess would be yes. Those people that recently incorporated will have a shot at getting money from the next tranche.
I think everyone sees the value in having, look, it's funny, a lot of small businesses, whether you're working from home, you're a sole proprietor, you're an independent contractor, you don't have an advisor on staff. So, the chambers, we're always happy to bring resources like Robert and other subject matter experts to bring this information to you. That's part of our role, is to be that, outsourced advisor for you. We have 1,300 members, right, in all industries. So CPAs, attorneys, lenders, consultants, insurance folks. So, this is part of the power of the chamber. So thanks for being with us. I think, Robert, maybe a recap and repeat your contact information before we ride off into the sunset.
Okay, looks like we have about 18 minutes or so. So
yes.
Let's make it count. All right, so a few things. And again, they're in negotiations right now. It looks like one of the downsides, and really like one of the few downsides here, is that it looks like there's going to be no liability protection for business owners. I know that's something that the Senate has been fighting for. So that is one thing I don't see happening. If there's one thing to take away, I would take away that you've got 10 months to apply for forgiveness after the covered period. So you take the day that you take the day that you receive the money. All right, you go 8 weeks from there or 24 weeks from there, and then you add another 10 months to that, and that's when you would have to start paying 1% interest, and you would apply for forgiveness before then. A lot of the questions are going to be shaken out well before then. So don't stress yourself out. You've got time. This next tranche of money, I think, is going to be easier to extract from them, and they want to give you the money. There's a lot of pressure, political and non-political. And also the banks and the lending institutions, credit unions, again, they've also learned and streamlined and improved their systems. So I think it's going to be an easier next round. But understand, this is the most important time to lean on your advisors, CPAs, attorneys, bookkeepers, financial advisors, insurance advisors. Speaking about insurance, monies that you can include as far as utilities. There are utilities, health insurance, dental and vision you can include on your non-payroll, okay, but nothing else. So health insurance, as far as insurances. So health insurance, vision insurance, and dental, the money that you pay there, you can use that as a covered expense. So some payrolls, you want to use 60% payroll. Also retirement. So if you match a 401k, that goes under payroll. The health insurance, state and local tax for non-payroll expenses that would be acceptable would be utilities, rent, mortgage. You can manipulate your covered period based on how your payroll goes. You have to have payroll of at least twice a month to qualify. So you can use incurred expenses or paid expenses, whatever benefits you. So you want to sit at the table and do some analysis, get the numbers out, get out your calculator, go through all your numbers, and they will allow you flexibility to use whatever is to your benefit.
Can business include the life insurance?
Life insurance, which we handle, but life insurance is not included. So for groups that have group life insurance, group disability, group long-term care, unfortunately, you cannot include those as a covered expense.
I have another question from Naomi Glazer. She's also very close to us, to the chamber. How does the EIDL and grants interplay if you also receive a PPP?
All right, that's a good question. So the EIDL actually counts against you. So just for example, if you got 100,000, if you got 10,000 from an EIDL and 100,000 from the PPP, you're going to take a 10% cut on your forgiveness on a PPP. So it's dollar for dollar. They're taking it off the top. That's a good question.
I have a really good question from Robert Steinman. He said he's a Giant fan and to tell the Tom Brady story before you leave.
Oh, thank you for the Tom Brady. I'll get into Tom Brady real quick, and then I want to give our patient viewers some really good websites to save a lot of money. So we hope that you get as much money as possible you receive from the PPP, and then you save a bunch of money on your online shopping. And since everybody's home, and all the way through 2021. So a story came out about Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's company TB12 received $960,000 from the PPP, which Tommy parlayed into $2 million yacht. All right, so this is something, and other companies that are huge companies receive money. Some companies gave the money back, but it's unfortunate that some people that don't need money or that shouldn't have gotten the money did get some money. However, I think they're going to make the adjustments on the next tranche of money, and that's not going to happen. An article came out in the Times also where they called micro businesses with less than 10 employees really got a lower percentage than their share. So I don't know exactly why that was, or maybe their advice may not have been as good, but I think they're really going to be looking at this, and they're going to be looking to give the small business owners, which is the backbone of this country, more money than we received before. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of quick online shopping tips. So the majority, Amazon, all right, Amazon in the news all the time. Amazon gets the majority of internet business. There is what's called an extension, a Google Chrome extension called Camel, like the 2-hump camel or Camel cigarettes back in the day. There's an extension on Google Chrome called Camel, the same word 3 times. And what that does is Camel actually does a pricing. It checks the pricing on Amazon. Amazon will over time increase and decrease pricing, and they give you a pricing history and let you know when the price on something goes down. You don't have to buy a Christmas gift or a Kwanzaa or a Hanukkah gift, and you could wait a little bit, put that on your extension on your computer, and they'll let you know when the price goes down. Now, there's another one Walmart and Target are the 2 other largest online networking, and they know how to get it into your wallet and purse, I'll tell you. But there is an extension called Price Blink, like blinking your eye. And Price Blink will give you a comparison of, I think it's 16 websites, and let you know how you can save money. My third tip, I really like this one, and it's a Google Chrome extension. It's called Honey, like honey-do list, or like putting honey, on your bread and honey. Honey finds coupons. So if you take your extension, you download the Honey extension, and you're going to buy something online, Honey will go and find you additional coupons. One more click of the mouse, and you're going to save big money on Honey. All right. So as a recap, we covered a lot of different scenarios. I know people have more questions. You can email me at rob@insurancedoctor.us. U as in United, S as in States. I believe in the chat, I directly give cell phone number out to my clients, 917-359-3985. We talked a little bit of sports, talked a little bit of online shopping. I'd like to wish everyone, I know these are tough times. Times will get better. They're going to make it easier for you to access this money, to extract this money. Keep the faith, stay positive, test negative. Anything else you want to bring up, or maybe if there's one more question or anything else? We do have a few more minutes.
Well, I see one last question. I hope I didn't miss this. It said if you have an LLC, but you did not have any income last year, do you qualify for PPP?
No, you have to show income, and then you have to also show an income loss. So with no income, you would not be able to apply. We'll see what happens with the next tranche. They may decide to make some adjustments. I'm not exactly sure.
Rob, I think it was very informative. I want to thank you, for all that insight. And again, everyone, obviously, we can't squeeze it all into one session. Rob's available. Chamber's open, working remotely, but we're always here for you. Thanks for being members. If you're not a member and you want to learn about becoming a member, I'm Brendan Leavy. I'm the business development manager. Just shoot me an email. I'll drop my information in the chat as well. Or if you have any questions or you need any other resources to help you at this time, we're here to support you. So I want to thank Rob. Thank you for attending. I guess our Facebook audience, we're signing off shortly. Jackie, any closing remarks?
Yes, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Brendan, and thank you all for being here. I want you to know that we broadcast this on Facebook Live, and we are recording this, and we are posting in our Queen's Chamber YouTube channel if you want for later on, for reference, and also to share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you all for being here, and don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy. Happy holidays.